Genshin Impact has been out for a little over 3 years now, and the game is far from being perfect, but it is, however, constantly updating with quality of life changes that make the game feel better to play/enjoy. With that being said though, there could be/should be more changes to Genshin in my honest opinion. These are not in any order, so I'm just going to list them off. To start with, the resin needs to be changed, to either regen every 3 or 4 minutes, or the cost for resin needed for everything is cut in half. 8 minutes is way too long, considering at base we need 20 resin to barely get anything. With that said, thing number 2, there needs to be an increase in the amount of things dropped, not just resin lock stuff. 20 resin for only 5 purple books when you need around 300 or so to get a character to near max level. Something's wrong there. Gets even worse with the talents as well, where you only get 2 green and 2 blue, sometimes only 1 if you're really unlucky. And you need an overabundance of the talent books to get the traces up, especially if it's a DPS character. I would say they should change it to be what we get from the overflow events instead, but permanently. Maybe even double that if we're lucky. World bosses only dropping 2 of their material, sometimes 3, is so low when you consider the fact that you need at least 26 to get a character to Ascension 5, 46 to A6. They should be dropping guaranteed 5 or 6 per 40 resin use. I think we can all agree that Spiral Abyss needs a change. I'm of the camp that the change should be that it becomes a weekly thing instead of every 2 weeks or so. It gives 800 Primo Gems a week if you fully clear it, and they revamped Floor 12 specifically because currently it's just awful with how the enemies are damage sponges. If you don't have God tier artifacts/luck, you won't be 3-starring Floor 12 anytime soon. No, we do not need more floors.
The scenery is wonderful.
We need a rework to Floor 12. In the same vein with Primos, doing daily commissions and completing them should net us a single pull. It's absurd that it takes 3 days to get 180 gems. If you have the Welcome Pass, you get 90 gems for a total of 150 every day, but you still need that extra 10 for a single pull. That being said though, Genshin Impact 3rd is much worse in getting daily gems. I don't know about you, but I personally think having a mount would go a long way for the exploration of the game. Now yes, there's passive abilities and food buffs that decrease stamina consumption, but that relies on the fact that 1. The player has the character and a good team built around that character, and 2. The player has the food items and grinds daily for materials to cook said item. Honkai Star Rail's exploration is fun to do, since it's more of an open zone style than open world. And one of the best parts about it is that it has a key/legend thing telling you how many chests there are and a charter left on the map. It's super convenient and helpful to know how many chests you have and how many you need left, though to be honest, I wish they would include protected chests and any readables. Genshin needs to have something similar to this, and there are 2 games that do this very well, God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, as well as Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed. When you open the world map, to the left, there's a legend/key showing you every collectible in the current map and how many you have versus how many there are in total. Something like that would be incredible for Genshin to have, and would make exploration so much better. I don't see this often get talked about, but the trial/test system for trying out recent characters on featured banners kind of sucks. A better way to test the characters to allow the player to choose what level the character is, the character's talents, artifacts, weapons, team comps, etc. That way, players will have an easier time knowing what to focus on and grind for, and allows them to test something without putting in the time and effort to just see that it flaws flat/doesn't work. Gem players often complain about how there's no endgame content, when Spiral is right there. However, I would advocate for a new game mode for Genshin, and it's something I've always wanted to see them do. I'm a huge fan of Simulated Universe from Honkai Star Rail. It's roguelike in nature, and you only need to do 2 runs a week to get all the rewards. Genshin having a roguelike style game mode that gives weekly rewards would go a long way for the game. I always thought if we got a roguelike mode, there would be 5 floors that gave a random amount of primos, ascension/talent/weapon mats, and fragments to obtain characters/weapons, including 5-star units and weapons. There could be 1 dungeon per region in the game, and they can only be cleared once weekly at no resin cost. The floors would be a puzzle floor based on who you bring in element-wise, a time attack against mobs, and a boss floor at the end that's balanced. Could go a long way, honestly. Probably the most important one, and one almost everyone wants to see redone, is the artifact system. Not only do you get shafted with the flat stats on a piece, you also have to get incredibly lucky to get a good main stat artifact, and hope you get good levels on it. Otherwise, depression will hit. A way to circumvent this is to obviously increase the rate at which the main stats drop, that being Elemental Mastery, crit rate, and damage, and healing bonus for the Circlet, Elemental Mastery for Sands, and Elemental Damage bonus for Cups. I personally would be interested in seeing an all-elemental damage bonus cup, but it's highly unlikely to happen because it might be unbalanced due to the fact that a handful of characters have infusion for other characters, and some do off-field damage, which might also be increased from the Goblin. It's a thought at least. Tied to making a change to artifacts, one of the best changes they should make, but won't, is letting us pick which artifact to grind for instead of having a chance of getting one or the other, sometimes both. It always sucks grinding for a good artifact set, but you end up getting the bad artifact set in droves instead, because for some reason, whenever you need something, you don't get to have it in droves, and whenever you don't need something, you get a magic crap ton of it. For instance, Thundering Fury and Crimson Witch of Flames, Thunder Soother and Lava Walker. Those two sets are god-awful, but you get them in droves in comparison to the two sets that you actually want. Both Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail have a stamina reserve system, where if you're over the stamina cap, you passively gain more stamina the longer you're at the cap. In that similar vein, I personally think they should add the ability to hold more condensed resin. Only 5 as of current is not enough and kind of doesn't make sense fully to me. Maybe bump it to 12 or something. That and the ability to let us either turn condensed resin back into normal resin, or just let us use condensed on normal bosses. I'd personally like them to stop making new characters from past regions that require boss materials from newer bosses from the current region, especially talent boss items. Why do Shenhe and Yunjin need materials from an Inazuma's boss when they're both from Liyue? It makes no sense. Before you go, oh, Child exists. Snezhnaya is a ways away, so it kind of makes sense why he needs mats from the recent regions. Kazuha is another instance since he came out before Inazuma, but at least we got a preview of a boss from Inazuma to fight. This also includes characters from a newer region needing weekly boss mats from the most recent weekly boss, because we don't get the new region's weekly boss until a .2 update. Kind of wish we got a region boss at launch for the new region instead, but oh well. And lastly, it's a small thing, but the cutscenes need to have lip syncing to English audio. It is downright awful that this fix hasn't happened yet. I don't know what it's like for JP voices, but for Ian, it's a little immersion breaking. And those are some changes I personally would like to see. Obviously, another would be better rewards, anniversary, giving things to players for rewards, a daily login system that stays, but there are more. But those are more outside of the game than inside, though I do agree that we deserve better rewards.
In this world I roam.
Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.